All right, we're going to start our animation project using something that we've designed before, at least one thing. And so if I open up my digital art projects, I was actually thinking I really liked, let's see, where is it? My little 8-bit guy here, even though this is just a quick demo. And I thought I might use these features a little bit. I want to use him, and maybe I want to use this as a landscape. And maybe I'd use my creature design as well. So I'm going to pull some of those out, and I'm going to show you how to make a duplicate. So I'm going to grab that PSD file, which has all of those resources in it. It has the texture fills in it. It's got the character. It's got the lighting, the shadow map. And what I'm going to do is hold down Option. And when you hold down Option and move a file around, it will add that plus sign. And then I'm going to drop it onto the desktop while holding down Option, and it will make a duplicate of it on the desktop for me. Then what other features might I use? That's a landscape and a character I can use. But then I probably want to use my actual creature as well. And just the PNG cut out of my creature. Right here, the one with the tail. So I'm going to hold down Option, bring that out to my desktop as well. And that's just because I think I want to use this horizontal landscape more than the vertical landscape I designed. And I'm probably going to crop it into something like a square. So keeping those things in mind, I've got this guy, I've got this landscape, I've got this monster. I need to think of a transformational animation that I can get across in 9 panels. And 9 panels is not very much. It's not enough time to change scene. So this is all going to be one scene. A scene is defined as any one time and place, right? So I'm not going to go from one city to the country or anything in this. And basically, the first things you do, let's try this. Nice. So the first thing you do is you typically will establish your setting. So if I say EST, that's kind of shorthand for establish. I'm going to establish the countryside. Okay, so here I'm going to have my countryside with its mountains. And establishing means that you show the background so that you don't need to show it so clearly in the future. Okay. Next, I have one establishing shot. Next, I'm going to introduce. So this is going to be my first action. And I could call it an action, but I could also just call it an introduction. So introduce guy. So my character now is going to go into the frame. And I might use arrows. Storyboards use a lot of arrows. Show my guy in the frame here. I'm going to make this really, really simple. So the tree's here. Now my guy's in that frame. And we already see that time has passed. Between these two moments, we are making a change. Okay, now what's going to happen is the guy is just going to be there, and he's going to move up and down a little bit. I'll make a little motion cycle for him that's really simple. Kind of like when video games, when you leave a character too long, they have to move a little bit or they look weird. So he's going to move up and down a little bit. And then clouds, I'm going to start transforming, because I'm not transforming the character, I'm going to transform the environment. And storm clouds are going to start coming in. This way in the frame. So that's going to be an action. This is the first thing that changes the scene. So the action is storm starts. Now these first 3 frames, these are the beginning. So they should set the stage. They should show you all the players for the most part. So we get an idea of what's at stake. In the middle, which are these middle frames, I'm just going to continue that same transformation. The storm clouds are going to get stronger and stronger. He'll look more and more concerned. I don't know. And then the climax at the middle, there's going to be a lightning bolt. A really dramatic event. And maybe it's going to hit him. I don't know. Should I make it hit him? I think maybe it should hit him. Okay, so lightning's going to hit, and then it's going to show consequences. So I can say action, more storm, action. These are all part of the same action. Action 1, action 2, action 3. A lightning hits. So it's a strike. And then you got to have consequence. So what does it look like after that action? And he's going to be just a charred crisp. Right. And then the cloud starts to roll on. The storm starts to pass. And maybe his ashes are going to start to drift away too. Now notice, I'm not thinking of, I was going to maybe introduce my character and have him come through the mist, and I don't know. But I don't need that. As long as I have a transformation, you want to keep it fairly simple, if I can get excited about it. But if I decide I need something else, well, then maybe I have my creature come in and he eats up the remaining ashes. Be a little surprise appearance. Well, the clouds are moving off because the end part is getting a little boring. Now, the end is also where you reset for a loop, right? So new character, introduce, what do I want to call him? Lizard. And then the lizard goes away. So the lizard comes in this way, leaves this way. And we still have a little bit of storm cloud here, moving out, but then it will reset to this image to start the loop again. So set for reset, if you want it to loop. Now, would this make sense playing forward and then backwards? Not really, because it would look like, okay, we have a nice setting. The storm clouds are going to roll in from this direction. This guy vomits up some ashes that then form themselves into a little man-shaped thing. The storm gathers more. Lightning hits the ashes, animates them into a living person that moves up and down and then walks backwards out. So you have to decide what the best way is to loop it. Okay, that's my storyboard. That's what you'll do in your sketchbook. It doesn't matter if you draw the squares perfectly or not. I like to use this little template just to save time. And I use the square just because it's the most universal shape online. You can use it as an icon. It fills up a print page well, and it stacks up in a 3x3 storyboard very nicely. So try to contain it all in a storyboard that fits on one page. Use between 8 and 12 frames, but I recommend 3x3, 9 square frames. Now that I have that, that's going to be the first thing I save and I input into PhotoBucket. So I'm going to call this Carl Fry Assignment 5 Storyboard. We're going to be saving quite a few different files for this project. Okay, the next thing I'll do is I want to start building my assets. What do I need from what I already have to make this work? If I think of this as my script for a puppet show, well, the first thing I need is scenery. So I'm going to open up this assignment, And I'm going to think, okay, if I turn off this guy, what part of this scene do I want to use? And I think I maybe don't want this tree as much as I want just kind of the open land. So let's see. Let's move him and move his shadow by selecting multiple layers by holding down Command, selecting both of those. Turn that leaf off that's overlapping him. Yeah, and I think those are the only ones where he's involved. Turn off auto select layer because I've selected the layers I want to move. And I'm going to move him more into here. Okay. And now I'm going to crop this. And I'm just going to use the crop tool and hold down Shift. And it should crop a perfect square for me. And then move that square where I want it. And I can zoom in. You'll notice that I didn't do any camera moves in my storyboard because they're kind of a pain. But you can see in past video tutorials how to do that. But I'm not going to like zoom out or pan over. I'm just going to keep the same scene the whole time. Okay, so I've got that. So I'm going to crop it. That's almost right. Let me do it and frame it in a little bit more so I don't have to worry about edges. The resolution does not need to be as high because I'm not going to be printing these out full scale. Okay, so now I'm going to call this with all these different texture fills, which I can use in my animation for the gathering storm. I'm going to rename and save this. So save as Assignment 5 Assets. Think of it as a box of puppets and settings, things you're going to do a puppet show with. Okay. Then I'm going to select it all, go to its background layer, select it all, copy it, Command C, just to put those pixel dimensions, that exact image size, which happens to be 5.79 inches by 200. It's more than we need. But I want to keep that exact resolution, and I want to say File, New Photoshop File, and it will use the clipboard to pick that exact same size. And I'm going to call this Carl Fry Assignment 5 Stage. So this is where I'll put my finished panels. And then the first one I'll put in is just that background plate. So that's my backdrop. And see, it's a separate layer on top. Okay, now I can save these things. And I'm ready to start animating once I come back. The other thing I might want to find are some other assets. So what big actions do I have in my sketch? Well, I have a storm coming in, and I've got fire, and I've got the lizard. So I need to get those assets ready. And that might mean doing a Google search, compositing. So I just looked up storm clouds gathering as a GIF, and I used my search tools to limit them to animated files. And I found this one from this old grainy movie from 1959 that looks great. Eyes in outer space. I like how the clouds roll in from one side. So I'm going to, let's see, view that image. And I'm going to move that, even though it's low resolution, right onto my desktop. That's going to be an asset I can use because you can actually composite with other GIFs. And some other ones I liked. This is a nice kind of gathering of lightning. This is actually a sculpture, a lamp that someone designed. I can zoom in on that and use that to add some lightning building up. This is a great lightning strike. It's very dramatic, but on its own, it's too much, right? So I need to build up to it, climax to this. And this might be overkill, and I could always draw these things in. This is just an overall kind of tornado. I thought it was kind of cool. So I'm saving all of these GIF files, which don't take up much memory.